Zato is back in the monitored the MPP elections over the period. And how did DMB fare?
Oh, no.
He did well?
Well, Sisala gave him 81.3%.
Okay, we'll talk about that. Don't worry. And then also, Edem Akbana is here. Edem, I love what you're wearing as well. Who made that for you?
Thank you. Stallion.
Oh, Stallion.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Good morning to you as well. And of course, we have United Party Communication Director as well, has been blasting over the period. He's in a Woodin. Just in case you want a touch of Woodin, go to any of their shops nationwide. You can also search them across social media within fashion as well. You monitor the MPP polls as well.
Yes. I monitored it and I was laughing.
Oh, you were laughing. Don't worry. But Jabunti, how did it go for you?
Which one? The MPP primary. Well,
because you monitored.
Yes, no, it's true. No.
Were you an agent for Bawumia?
No, I'm not. I was not an agent for anybody. I was not a delegate. I was just doing the Lord's work. The delegates rewarded competence. They rewarded meritocracy. They rewarded hard work. The delegates went out and they said, thank you, Akpe Medase, to His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. They voted for continuity. They voted for a man who has demonstrated again and again that he has the capacity, he has the temperament, emotional maturity to lead this country and to lead this country to greater heights. He demonstrated, they voted for a man they know that if Ghana today was handed over to him, this country will be peaceful, stable, and prosperous. They voted for a future president, and they voted for a man who knows he will be.
I see.
Yes. So as I said, I was, but something, a bigger thing struck me when I was there, and I think it fits into what we are doing today. I saw and I heard directly the lamentations, the wallowing, the cries of maize farmers in Sisala East. As I travel from Wallinjan to Sakeng to Kong to Tumu, as I travel from Santejang to Nablu, to Fachojan, to Mandron, to Chalo, on all the places, I saw farmers crying. I saw their pain, I saw their feet. They can't sell their maize. Today, if you have 200...
What's that? Is it glut or what's the result?
See, it's a combination of factors. One, there's a glut, which is true. Then secondly, there's also the idea there's low demand. Then you then expect... So this is now, the farm gate price, which the government announced was a good one, has not gotten there. The money was fully exhausted in 3 days. So what you now have is that farmers are sitting on maize they cannot sell. They are sitting on maize that is low demand. Now, remember that a lot of them took loans. Some of them soft loans, some of them small loans to invest. They cannot sell. And look, I'm saying this because you are talking about real human beings suffering. You know, we had the egg glut in Accra. Yeah. We have maize and beans glut. We have the rice glut. I think government is becoming overwhelmed. But I think there's a pollution coming start. A company just opened up in Tumu, Kedan, with the capacity to turn maize into chicken feed and others to process and to add value. If I was the government, I would reach out to the good people of Kedan in Tumu. I'll reach out to that company.
So this your comment, is it to advertise that company you're talking about, or you're talking
about...
No,
I'm talking about, you said, how did it go? I'm telling you what happened when I went home. Okay. I've talked about the suffering of farmers in Sisala East. I've talked about I've talked about the fact that a lot of them are being driven into bankruptcies. I've talked about how government policies, farm gate prices is not helping them now.
And the institute is for Africa Policy Lens.
Africa Policy Lens, yes.
All of us are interested in maize.
Oh, no. We did a poll. No, what, you want me to... No, you didn't. You asked me how it went, and I'm telling you.
The Honorable Eric Opoku, we'll try and get him into the studio because I think rice farmers also tend to have this. When you go to some of
almost all farmers. In fact, the cocoa farmers now, what is with the government and farmers?
Politicize the issue.
No, I'm not. I'm just telling you
because
the
when you have a glut, it also means that there's overproduction.
Yes.
So they need off-takers, and that's what we are against.
Exactly. They need all those things. And unfortunately, the price of food has not fallen as a result. Wow. Kenke is still 5 cedi in Tumu. Even though there's the glut, it has been 5 cedi.
Who cooks Kenke in Tumu?
Pardon?
Who cooks Kenke?
Oh, there's a popular place called Jolly Friends. Yes, local stuff. Yeah, they eat it. And then it's still 5 cedi. So my point is that why is it still not coming down when there's maize glut and there's a lot of maize?
Charlie, you were monitoring the MPP elections.
Yes.
And you must be shaking in your loins, knowing that they are bringing another formidable candidate against same person, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. When you were monitoring, what was going through your mind?
Well, and good morning to you and to our cherished viewers, especially to the chiefs and people of Ketu North. Well, and indeed, as an interested party, I monitored keenly the NPP primaries. And let me first congratulate them for the successful elections and also to congratulate Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia for emerging victorious in the primaries. Roland, for us in the NDC, the election of Dr. Bawumia with 56.4% in his own party signals that 2028, we are still on course to securing another victory. Dr. Bawumia is a candidate we know and we have known all this while. There is nothing new. There is nothing that the NPP can do to whitewash Dr. Bawumia of the incompetence and the failure that we saw under his administration. It was under his watch as head of economic management team that this country's economy was run into crisis to the extent that citizens were given wicked haircuts. Even retirees, pensioners were not spared because of Bawumia's incompetence. So there is nothing the NPP can tell us today that will whitewash Bawumia and make him look as though he is a candidate we haven't seen before. Dr. Bawumia was largely known as a candidate who was not credible, who was not honest. In fact, they in the NPP themselves placed the tag of a liar on him, which confirms all the things that we have said.
Liar?
No, but yes,
okay.
he was known as a chronic liar. Even in their campaign, they referred to him as a chronic liar. Now, what is it that they will tell us now that will change what they said about Dr. Bawumia being a chronic liar? So for us in the NDC, yes, we are not complacent. We will always continue to work hard to increase our margins. But if there is any candidate on the ticket of the NPP that will scare the NDC, it is certainly not Dr. Bawumia.
But you haven't even elected your candidate.
And I'm telling you that, Roland, I'm telling you that regardless of whoever the NDC will present, Dr. Bawumia's candidature cannot be one that will scare the NDC away in anything. Why? What news is he bringing? What news is Dr. Bawumia bringing?
Julius
Why?
Debra.
Is it not the same Dr. Bawumia who told us that he had arrested the dollar and given the key to the IGP? The same Dr. Bawumia who arrested the dollar, gave the key to the IGP, but the exchange rate was 1 cedi to 17 cedis to $1.
Don't mind.
What is new about Dr. Bawumia?
But he paid cocoa farmers.
What is new about Dr. Bawumia?
Just in a minute.
It's very important that let me congratulate him. I mean, it was obvious for on term time. I made that declaration that he was going to win because he didn't need anybody to tell you that doing the top-down approach had been rigged. It was a way of rigging the election for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So it was obvious, and I was wondering why people were wrapping their heads with polls here and there. It's garbage in, garbage out. What is in the album that will give you the outcome. But what this time around makes it very scary for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Even with the same album, the old album that has his people, about 4% from the last election, what he got in the previous election, felt he was not competent enough to...
But they said they will rally behind him.
Who is going to rally?
You didn't see Apenyo Maki and the rest
Apenyo's statement was even dangerous.
It's not statement. He even rushed to the house, go and greet him.
Did you listen to what he said?
I don't understand.
Jesus Christ. Apenyo has finished the whole show. First of all, I respected Apenyo for what he said yesterday. He says the opposition MPP in parliament didn't have any strategy the whole of 2025 and that they were just doing anything anyhow. Secondly, he says that now they are going to hand over the party, the parliamentarians the MPP parliamentarians in parliament will only be doing what we call the bidding of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, his vision. Tell you the cracks.
But they've elected him as candidate.
No, they say the cracks. Because of this campaign, you know how Fenyo's place a futu. They gave Kennedy Japan 644 votes.
But that one, that's delicate.
Against 79.
They made the decision.
So Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and his team are not so happy with Afenyo. And in the coming days, definitely they will get him out. But what I want to admonish Afenyo is that when he's removed as the minority leader, he must not worry. Oh, it will happen. Don't worry, it will happen.
Are you sure?
No, it's going to happen.
So, do you want us to bet?
No, it's going to happen. Let me tell you. It's a matter of time. Afenyo will be removed. But the most important thing or the takeaway from this whole NPP primaries is how they have been able to monetize our politics.
Monetize?
I couldn't believe it. That the only consideration for delegates to vote for a particular candidate was more issue of money. Delegates
Are you making claims that the winner is the one who paid most?
Oh, yes. But the delegates themselves were telling us that, look, we are waiting for the money. They say, oh, we are not voting for Duchuma and Kwabena Japan because their money hasn't come. And I felt that the GRA by now must be going after all the five candidates.
Yeah,
look, we are not in a serious country. That people are showing opulence. And you, the youth of this country, remember, listen to me well. The reason why you are poor, you are not getting jobs to do is that when these politicians get the opportunity of leading you, they loot and they only use it to come and buy your conscience. That on election day, they were only distributing money. Remember, on the 15th of September 2025, I, together with the Bokman and Apia Dankwa, petitioned the OSP to investigate Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia on his claim that he single-handedly donated more than 300 brand new pickups for the campaign. I knew what I was doing because I know the monies are with them. The monies are with the MPP candidates.
Solomon.
But I don't know what this administration is doing. Is it the case that they also want to loot?
Solo is okay. Solo is okay.
Can you imagine?
So they should go after people?
They should go and take our money. I'm not interested in you go and take our money and give it to them. If you don't want to do anything else with them, you just go and take the money. They showed opulence.
So remember your candidate, Alan Cash.
But
I've just been given a picture. Apparently, you were a delegate. You were in your.
No, he has always been. Not today, but this morning. You see how the word works. This morning, he has openly admitted that he's an MPP member.
I don't understand.
I was not, and I am not a delegate. Yes.
So what did you do?
So the picture that was sent to me.
Roland, let's not do this. I'm telling you that the delegate album for salaries is available online. My name is.
You're celebrating.
Don't do this, Roland, please.
No, he has a tag.
I was
special guest. Okay, special guest.
So that you know,
end for me.
One more thing.
Let's do some cocoa news.
The creme de la creme of the party. You know, they had a police station at the headquarters. NBB headquarters had a police station. Those that were supposed to vote them are the National Council members, the former appointees as ministers and CEOs, and so on and so forth. Do you know of the 987 voters that were supposed to vote there, only 481 people turned out to vote? They realized that this was a flawed process.
Oh, but how do you come by those? Some of them were those who live outside.
No, they were only. This was the most important activity of the party. Less than 50% of those, the creme de la creme, saw the need to go and vote. But they are giving up on this party.
No, you
so if the elders, if the creme de la creme are running away from the party, how much more you, the tricky little stars, who are now looking for something to do for your life? So it's Agbena. We are very much happy. And in the same way, the United Party so happy. The very day they voted, the number of people who are registering with us is amazing. And that we are looking forward to a very competitive election come 2028. But I can assure you that in the same way Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia went to the Ashanti region and said, we are sorry, we have wronged you. When you go to court and say that, my Lord, I am guilty, it does not mean you have been forgiven. What it means is that the judge will look at the levels of punishment to give to the mistake that you have committed. That is where we are now.
All right, there's a substantive issue that also become very topical, and it's about Ghana's cocoa financing. Why have farmers' arrears been delayed and not paid? Edem Agbana, you might have heard something from Randy Abbey, the cocoa board, etc. And cocoa farmers are already, you know that prices on the world market have been tumbling. Côte d'Ivoire hasn't been able to get their own produce to their commodity suppliers or those who want to take them in the first place. And so that's made the prices a bit unwavering.
Well, Roland, I very much sympathize with cocoa farmers who are facing difficulties, cocoa farmers whose payments have delayed. And I can assure you on authority that as I speak, government has started addressing the issues, and before long, all those whose payments are in arrears will receive their cash. There is a certain history to the challenge that we face today. I am not one of those who likes to play politics with issues of this nature, but having followed the kind of arguments that our friends in the NPP are making on this case, it is important to use your platform to set the record straight.
What's the record?
The record is that for close to 3 decades, Cocoa Board engages in the purchase of cocoa using syndicated loans from international banks. And so, before the start of the season, Cocoa Board takes the loan from the international banks and use that money to pay or to buy the beans directly through the licensed buying companies. But for 3 years now, because of the mismanagement of Cocoa Board under the NPP government, the international banks have denied us that facility because in the 2023-2024 season, under the NPP government, they took syndicated loans against the purchase of 800,000 metric tons of cocoa. But they failed to supply the 800,000 tons. And so supply fell short of over 333,000 metric tons. And so for the next season, there needed to be a rollover. Now, when the rollover happened, these international banks, those who used to give us this syndicated loan, denied us the opportunity to get it. So now there is no cash immediately available as it used to be. So what happened is that you now have a situation where Cocoa Board entered into agreement with the international buyers, and they called it the 60-40, where they will pre-finance by giving an upfront payment of 60%, and the 40% is what Cocoa Board will be entitled to, and the user. So the farmers will bring their cocoa beans, and there's an upfront payment of 60% instead of what used to be the case of entire payment before. But because of that challenge that the NPP government left. And Cocoa Board's financial position as of December 2024, before the NPP exited office, was so terrible that the institution was no more financially viable, financially strong or stable enough to enter into an agreement where they could access loans for them to. And I say this on authority that, look, Randy Abe's assumption of office as Chief Executive Officer of Cocoa Board and the kind of leadership he has provided since 2025 is the reason why there is even some stability in the sector. Because this is a gentleman that came to inherit debt of 32.9 billion. That's what they left for Cocoa Board. 32.9 billion. And of that 32.9 billion, much of it were even debts accumulated from non-cocoa related activities. For example, the Cocoa Rose project. And this, out of that 32.9 billion, about 21 billion of it came from the 2017, 2018, 2019 season. And this was the same season where, under the NPP, there was no budgetary allocation for Cocoa Roads. But behind the scenes, contracts were awarded, including the one that Wontumi got for that somewhere in the Western North. All these are under investigation.
At the end of the cocoa farmers haven't been paid.
I'm making a point. So I am telling you that
it's been well over a year.
No, cocoa farmers were paid for the 2024-2025. Last year, cocoa farmers were paid. But I am telling you that there is a little delay now for some. And it's not all cocoa farmers. Because what is happening is that for government's projection, like I said, because we are no more we no more have access to the syndicated loan, there is a 60-40 arrangement where some monies are paid upfront. But the challenge we have today is that those who are buying the cocoa beans are faced with the difficulty of a reduction in the prices of cocoa. Because government's FOB price, the farm gate price that government set of 58,000 Ghana cedis per ton of per metric ton of cocoa, per ton of cocoa. That 58,000 today, when you buy cocoa at 58,000 and you are selling in the international market, you will not be able to make any profit. Number two, because our prices, as compared to our neighbors, is now higher. Ghana's cocoa price is now the highest. So you realize that there's even a reduction in smuggling out of the country. So rather, what is happening is that people from neighboring countries, Cote d'Ivoire and others, are rather trying to bring their cocoa in. And so those who are buying upfront on this 60-40 arrangement,
they haven't been paid.
Roland, and I'm telling you that it's just a few cocoa farmers whose delay And the delay is because of this challenge.
If you say a few,
and I have assured you that government has worked on it, and as we speak, some monies have been released to some of the banks and disbursements are ongoing.
Okay.
My only point is that, yes, we sympathize with the cocoa farmers. We understand the challenge. But NPP has no moral authority to even speak on this matter because we are where we are today on this challenge because they created the problem.
Moral authority?
Because they created the problem. They let a debt of 32.9 billion for Cocoa Board. Again, it is because of their incompetence and their failure. Yes, it is because of their incompetence. That is why the syndicated loans are no more coming.
Well over a year.
So government, yes, you see, in the international arrangement, it does not take just a year. We are dealing with seasons. And so until all of these debts are cleared, Ghana will not be able to access that syndicated, which, like I said, Dr. Randy Abe and his team are working on. And so we are where we are today because of the challenges that they left behind. As we speak today, government is working very hard to get the cocoa farmers, to get the monies paid to those who have not been able to receive the rest of their monies. And again, we have been able to fulfill our promise of ensuring that farmers are getting much higher value for their cocoa than they used to get under the previous administration. Roland, it is not a desirable place to be. But where we are today, it is because of the challenges that they have left. But I can assure you that we as a government are committed to cocoa farmers. We as a government are doing everything possible to ensure that Cocoa Board really serves the interests of farmers. And that is what we have been doing over the past 1 year. Before long, I'm sure even by the end of this week or latest by next week, most or all the farmers would have received their payments.
Dr. Zato, what do you think? Should we have gotten here? Perhaps the word could have been coming out earlier so that, well, the concerns of the farmers would have been known and some engagement would have been done on the public arena, even though, of course, I'm sure that in the closets, Cocoa Board would have been doing that. Because now they are public.
Thank you very much. I like, you kept asking one simple question, which is reverberating throughout. It has been over a year. It has been over a year. And that question is important because it puts this discussion within the context. If at this time, any organization...
You said my question was good.
Yeah, that's good. I'm saying you kept bringing up. It was good. It's good because it situates it contextualizes the discussion. But what you're saying is that if now you are still blaming the former manager who bought for you the woes and pathologies you are dealing with today, then it shows the level of incompetence that you are dealing with. Look, the decisions, the problem happening in Cocoa Board is a result of what? Policy reversals, internal conflict, and poor, weak decision making.
What do you mean by that?
It seems almost all the policies of this government have one objective when it comes to agriculture sector: to make farmers poor and poorer. I started by talking about how maize and beans farmers in the northern part of this country are poorer and poorer. I talked about how rice farmers are poorer and poorer. I talked about how farmers down south, the egg glut, they are getting poorer and poorer. Now we are going to how cocoa farmers are getting poorer and poorer. What wrong have farmers done this government? That end policy. If you talk to any member of the NDC about the economy, the dollar is down, fuel prices are down, inflation is down. Inflation is down, farmers cannot be paid. What kind of economic management is that? Inflation is down, cocoa farmers cannot be paid. What kind of economic management is that? Inflation is down, the wars and pathology, farmers are crying, and you say the economy is better. Which economy are you talking about? Why is it that the economy is doing well? Meanwhile, the economy of farmers is getting weak, poor, and bad. The farmers are wallowing. Why? I want to let you understand.
What do you mean by the farmers are?
They are not being paid. You just made that point. It doesn't matter even if it's just some of them. Do you know that farmers are threatening to turn their farms into galamsey sites? Do you know that farmers are threatening that they will turn their farms into rubber plantations? Do you know cocoa farmers are threatening that they will illegally send their cocoa out? Why is it that you said the previous economy was criminally managed, but that economy paid cocoa farmers? Say whatever you want. Syndicated loans, no syndicated loans, no whatever. We never sat down here in 2024 to say that cocoa farmers have not been paid. They were paid. So if the criminally managed economy in 2024 paid cocoa farmers, and now I thought it's forcing. Now dollar is coming down. Now inflation is coming down. Now everything, you paint the picture, see the whole economy is kumbaya. But why is it that the kumbaya economy cannot pay cocoa farmers?
He's just outlining the reason, the bottleneck.
Those are excuses. They are speaking.
And then the refinancing that has always been a burden for us because we go out there, go and take the loan, the syndicated loans, and even when it comes into the economy, it shows up the city.
Yes.
And so you'll find that historically, each time it's the last quarter of the year, then the government in power and the finance minister and the head of Cocoa Board will always come and say, oh, a syndicated loan is coming. But this time, you know that when we went to the IMF, is it not true? We've been blacked out generally out of the market. So it makes us go into the market and go take facilities at high percentage values. Is that not true?
A good manager gets the job done.
I don't understand.
You are Cocoa Board.
So you mean previously we had bad managers?
Previously, they got the farmers paid. Whatever it was, whatever it is, they got the job done. They pay the farmers. A good manager got the, if you are Cocoa Board, your central job is to pay the farmers for their cocoa. If you don't do that, you are incompetent. If you don't do that, you are not worthy of that job. I don't care the big English. I don't care the excuses because everybody can come with a mountain of excuses for why you cannot do the very basic fundamental of the job. I don't care syndicated loans. I don't care whatever it is. Get the farmers paid. Are they be paid? No. Remember when this government came, one of the first things the finance minister said was that he was going to increase cocoa price to 6,000. You remember that, right? He didn't do that. At the vetting of the finance minister, he said, I'll raise it to 6,000. So what you are feeding cocoa farmers is a chain
The finance minister didn't say that.
What did he say?
Okay, so what he did say was at an event. That was before they came into government, that it could be even the payment of a tag of 6,000. And so at the vetting, he was asked, and he said those words at the time that he did.
So at the end of the day now, if you are a cocoa farmer, you are poorer because of the decisions you made. You are poorer because the reset that was promised to you and your economy is not good. You are poorer because we are being told that the economy is doing well, your economy is not doing well. But that is just how you begin to see these cracks in it. My argument here is that as the government that is talking about industrialization, about adding value to our products, the economy seems to have been run in such a skewed way that farmers are bearing the brunt of all these things. Why? How did we get here? How did we get here that the cocoa farmers are suffering like this? I talked about the first thing, the politics of forward sales. Yes, if we were locked out of the finance market, there were also policy decisions made to make sure that that doesn't happen. I'm also now saying that as a government, what do you do? How do we make sure that we get out of this glut? Right now, the gold prices are still relatively high. They are falling. They're falling to about 4,000. They're still high. Why can't we get some of the revenue? Because the government sold the revenue. We're told that the government sold a large number of gold, about more than half of the gold reserves, because they got to do speculation. We got revenue. Why can't we use some of that to pay these cocoa farmers? At the end of the day, why can't we come up with smart, intelligent policies and processes to make sure that the average farmer, because we can always give excuses from morning to evening. But at the end of the day, the cocoa farmers are human beings. They are fathers, they are mothers, they have jobs to pay, they have bills to pay, they have food to put on the table. Not paying them and not put enough measures in place to make sure they are paid is wicked, vindictive, and should not happen.
Solo, what do you say to all these observations?
I don't blame Zato, and as if we are prophets, and we will always be prophets. He is right. He's saying that after 1 year, what have you done? I kept last year telling you that this business of people in this administration trying to cover up for the previous administration will come back to haunt them.
I don't understand.
On the 27th of February 2025, the president of the land, John Mahama, gave a State of the Nation's address. In that address, he was very clear to the nation that Cocoa Board, that was managed by Dr. Boahen Edun and his people, took a facility. I know we do syndicated loans, futures and forwards, based on certain projections. And that the amount of money that they took, they were expected to supply a certain quantum of cocoa beans. Now, with this figure, Cocoa Board failed to supply 333,000.
I don't understand. You mean during the period of Boahen Edun?
Boahen Edun and MPP, that Zato is running his mouth, and he has to run his mouth. Because some people are not doing their job. Some people are covering up for the previous administration.
In
some
this administration?
Yes.
And while they should be exposing them?
They must be facing prosecution.
What about oral?
They must be facing prosecution. 333,776 tons of cocoa they could not deliver. And guess what? For those who are listening and do not know what 333,767 tons of cocoa means, it means we could not supply to our vendors cocoa bags worth 5 million plus.
In default?
In default. Now, guess what? When they were doing the features, at that time, they pegged the figure at $2,600 per ton. So multiply $2,600 per ton by 333,767. Can you do that for me, please?
You said what again?
333,767.
333.
767.
767.
Times $2,600.
867.7 million.
$867.7 million.
Almost 900.
So guess what? And that is why people must face prosecution. Well, if you go and take money that you will be able to supply X amount of cocoa, you could not get the cocoa beans to supply. It means you did not pay farmers. Is that not the case?
Sure.
It means that money that you went and borrowed must be sitting in the account. Is that not the case?
True.
Why is it that that money that they went to borrow was not sitting in the account? And you were told during the same State of the Nation address that Cocoa Board was owing 32.5 billion Ghana cedis. And the one that is there. The management of Cocoa Board, they are still there. And nobody is coughing. You are in this country. We were told by Randy Abbey that sacks, cocoa sacks that we did not need, they have procured up to 2030. They were just buying. They were just procuring sacks.
Cocoa sacks?
Or was it bags? Yes.
Off-taking
because it was a cheap way.
Procurement?
Procurement. Under Nana Akufo-Addo Bawumia, the wisest leader in cabinet. That's what they did. Now, 2018, 2019, go and check what they did. With the cocoa roast, they were just dashing money.
Oh, Solo, you can't make those dashing.
They would just give fake contracts and then give money to their cronies to be shared. So if today they have turned the heat on, I know my people very well. I was in the MPP. When the people started pampering, I said, these people, they're only waiting for a year or two, and they will turn the heat and tell what did Zato do this was. Oh, we must forget about the past. Everything, I don't care your big English. Yes, you will not care the big English.
Randy Abbey for me, Dr. Randy Abbey.
It's very important. It's very important that why is he not speaking on the matter? Why is he not speaking on the rot that he went to meet?
You're making some serious...
Because if you are going to take money to buy a certain quantum and you say you could not get the beans to supply, that money must be sitting in the account.
Because what you're saying is that there are key issues and mismanagement and misappropriation that happen. And for which people should be held accountable.
They have to buy
and the new management should be spearheading.
They have to be spearheading out there. If you are not, that is what is supposed to happen. But they will sit down there. You see, yesterday also, I heard the president say that they must do a forensic audit at what? A scholarship secretariat. How many times haven't I come here? So were you waiting? What were you waiting for?
Exactly.
Look, Mr.
What was Order supposed to do?
No, but they have to get there.
What was Order supposed to do?
You see, I keep telling people that one of the reasons why our politicians have gotten away with nonsense, have gotten away with impunity, have looted us, that anytime there is a change of government, all that we do is that we forget about the past administration and concentrate on the new administration. So they get away with their booty. And it has been a deliberate policy of me and together with a lot of the United Party people to expose what happened in the past, to let it be a guide to those who are in government today, that you were not sent there to steal from us or loot. And so if you have realized that my lenses have been on the former administration trying to expose to the people of this country the need for us to go for our looted funds. You cannot tell me. Look, the reason why Cocoa Board came to be, and people sometimes don't appreciate history. In the olden days, before 1947, cocoa farmers were selling their cocoa directly to Cadbury and the USC. Until 1937, when these white people decided to form a cartel and shortchange the cocoa farmers, giving them low prices. That was when the Noah's Commission said, look, let us go into the matter. Why cocoa farmers for 8 months said they would not sell their farms. In fact, some were destroying their farms. They came to that conclusion that there has to be a board or an agency that will regulate the sector. At that time, remember 1947, we were still under the British rule. So it was a way for the British government to also still continuously shortchange the people of this country. They brought you Cocoa Board, and you also continue the British system. If you think you cannot regulate the sector well, let the farmers sell their own beans into the...
But that would be chaos. Cocoa is one of the main
Ivory Coast is doing that. If you were doing that, remember if you go to Ashanti region, Ashtown, Bantima, and those areas, the buildings you see there were put up by cocoa farmers.
At the time.
At the time.
All right.
So ever since you brought cocoa board, how many cocoa farmers have been able to build?
Well, you just hold your breath for me because you are in the studio. Dr. Randy Abbey, Chief Executive, Cocoa Board, good morning to you. And the accusation is that, well, you're not paying the farmers. The farmers are also raising concerns that they might have to resort to other means, either smuggling, etc. What really is the issue?
Well, good morning, Roland, and your panel, and thanks for having me on the show. Yes, there is an issue, and the issue has to do with the fact that the buyers currently find our cocoa too expensive at this point, as compared to how much it's being sold in other jurisdictions. And so whether you're talking about our neighbors or other cocoa producing countries, because as I speak to you, currently the prices have dropped to about $4,000. When we set the price, we did an FOB, average FOB of 7,200, out of which the farmer was giving 70%, which was 5,040. And so what's happening is that you have the farmers, the buyers now switching to other places where the crop is far, far, far cheaper than Ghana's crop. And this current situation is also linked to the financing model. The financing model, and if there is time, I can explain that. And you would also realize that in all of this conversation, you do not hear the incidence of smuggling as existed last year. Last year, we were paying $3,100 to the farmers, and you had a lot of smuggling happening because our neighbors were paying far, far more. And so there was an incentive for smuggling, there was a market for smuggling. This time around, because at that time the prices were high, 8,000, 7,000, 6,500. And we were paying 3,100, and the 3,100 we were paying was also as a result of a rollover, which is what my brother on your panel, Solu, was trying to explain to you about this 333,000 rollover contracts that were sold for 2,600. You know, that we have to be using high-priced cocoa to be servicing. You know, so there is this whole pricing model. You know that when we started purchasing cocoa, the government of Ghana was fully financing the purchase of cocoa. Then, some 34 years ago, the issue of syndication came about, taking the syndicated loan and then using that to finance the crop. And that happened for 32 years until 2023, 2024, when it collapsed. And then in 2024, for the first time in the 32-year history of the syndicated loan, Cocoa Board issued an expression, a request for proposal, and not a single bank responded to it, because at that time, Cocoa Board had defaulted in its cocoa bills, had done a DDEP with it, and also the finances of Cocoa Board had become terrible. For the first time in the history of the syndicated loans in 2023-24, although the season started in September, the first tranche of the syndicated loan landed in Cocoa Board's coffers on the 22nd of December, almost 4 months after the season had opened. And no wonder at the end of that season, Cocoa Board did about 400 and something thousand tons, I think 448, and could not supply over 333,000 tons of cocoa that it had sold or signed contracts for 2,600. We have had to now come in and use high-priced cocoa to be servicing the 2,600 dollar contracts that they sold this cocoa for. So that at the time when cocoa prices had reached 10,000, 11,000, and 9,000 and 8,500, the Ghanaian cocoa farmer and Cocoa Board and other stakeholders could not benefit from that because over 333,000 tons had been sold for $2,600 and could not be supplied. And so we had to be using this cocoa to supply for these contracts that were signed, but were not delivered at $2,600 US. Now, what it meant was that once the financing model had collapsed, which is the syndicated loans, the buyers then stepped in because cocoa was being sold for 11,000, 12,000, and 10,000. And they had low price contracts of 2,600 sitting with Ghana. So it made sense for them to finance the purchase of the crop in order to retrieve these huge quantities of cocoa that was low price. So even if the financing cost was 100%, it still made sense to spend $5,000 to retrieve a crop that was now costing 10,000 or 9,000 or 8,000. I hope you follow the point.
Yes, I follow perfectly. And
you had a situation where for 24, 25, it was the buyers that financed the crop. And it is the same model that we moved in 25, 26. And we made it clear from the beginning that, and I had an interview with your colleague, Temini, I think sometime last year. And I made it clear in that interview that we do not see this financing model going beyond 25, 26. And so for 26, 27, we would have a new financing model. And that is the model that we've been working on with the minister, the Honorable Minister of Finance, Dr. Kessler Atuforsin. And I'm sure that in due course, everybody will get to know a very sustainable financing model which will deal with all these issues. But currently, you have the buyers financing the crop.
Yeah, Dr. Abe, we get that. We get that. So, and now we know that they are pre-financing. I mean, just in plain language for ordinary viewers to also get to know. And then onwardly, you subsequently will have to somehow find them. And they are mopping up at a price that is far lower than how much you recoup to be able to pay back the farmers at that very good price that you have set for the current season. So it will mean that we need to find some solutions for these farmers. And they going to the media and bad-mouthing is not the best way. So what have you been thinking with your management and the board? What was the solution until this new refinancing model kicks in, Dr. Abe?
So we are thinking through the solutions. As I speak to you, I mean, our forecast for the crop for the 2025-2026 season was 650,000 tons. That's the projection. As I speak to you, we have already graded and sealed, that is bought, about 580,000 tons. So we've done about 90% of the crop forecast already. Like I said, we are not in the era where Cocoa Board took a syndicated facility and gave seed money to the LBCs to go and buy. Now you have a situation where the buyers or the off-takers are those who finance the crop. And at the current prices, they find Ghana's crop too expensive. And therefore, they have moved. But I'm saying that we have done about 580,000 already. Now, we need to take a decision because it is the buyers who are financing the crop. They are finding the crop at 4,200 and 4,300 in other jurisdictions around us. And that is why I told you that in all of this, you are not even hearing that, oh, because of this, the crop is being smuggled. Because there's even no market for smuggling. Because everywhere else, the prices are far, far lower. Last year, you did not hear of this issue of there is cocoa people cannot buy. But there was a lot of smuggling because we were then paying 3,100 and the prices were so high. So although the buyers were willing to buy, there was an incentive for smuggling and there was a lot of smuggling. Now, there is even no incentive because the prices are extremely low all around us. So the bottom line, the plain fact is that as far as the buyers are concerned, and the reality on the market is that currently our cocoa is too expensive. The buyers are moving to other markets or have moved to other markets. And we are trying to find a solution around this to mop up the 10% or 15% of the crop left with respect to our forecast. Like I said, the forecast was 650,000. As I speak to you, we've done about 580 with about 7 months or so to go for the end of the season.
Yeah, and so you've even exceeded your buying or your collection or mop-up target, so to speak. But at the end of the day, the question then is, so when in sight, or what's in sight for these farmers? This grumbling.
I can appreciate.
By which time?
I can appreciate the anxiety. I can appreciate the concerns. I can appreciate the fears. All I would ask is that they exercise a bit of patience. The Honorable Minister of Finance, the board of Cocoa Board, and the management are working to find a way out of this situation.
How long, Dr. Abbey? How long?
I don't think that it will be too long. I think that, we have definitely demonstrated that we have these farmers at heart. We have come in and we have given them a price, although when the prices were high, 10, 11, 12,000, 3,100 is what was given them.
Okay.
We've come in and even when the prices were lower, we sent it to $5,040.
All right.
The truth of the matter is that we all appreciate where the issues are today. And it is also linked to the funding model that we inherited as a result of the break in the syndication because of the financial mess that Cocoa Board found itself in. So it is quite a delicate situation. We appreciate all the issues that have been raised, but we're also working assiduously to find a solution to mop up what is left there. So we appreciate the issues, but I think that we need to come to the table, all parties, in candor to deal with the facts. And because you see, we have inherited a serious mess.
Yeah.
And when
you've made that known for us. When will you be in the office so that I come and get a proper understanding of this issue and get the numbers well so that I can also better articulate? Anytime. Thank you for the invitation, Dr. Randy Abbey. And I'm sure he appreciates the questions I'm asking, because if he was here, he would have asked worse questions, but no problem.
So Randy
wrap
has
up for me.
confirmed that he took over
He inherited a mess.
So if you take over a mess situation, you deal with the mess situation, those that caused the mess. It is the reason why the act that establishes Cocoa Board, PNDC Law 81, if you go to section 6, it says board to operate on sound commercial lines. That the board, whichever board is put in place at Cocoa Board, must at all time operate on sound commercial decision-making positions. We have given our great transformation plan to this administration. You know, we think we have foresight. Read what we have for the cocoa reforms, and this has been
abolish existing cocoa external loan syndication arrangements for the purchase of cocoa, and in place issue domestic securities denominated in local currency of cocoa. But since 2022, this strategy, the off-taking has been
no, they were not minding them. They were not minding them. They were not minding them.
And then you say you're going to deepen private sector participation in the cocoa sector by offloading part of the shares of Cocoa Board. Okay, so you want to go public.
Yes.
You want to go public. It also means that we need to change some structure of the regulation.
Exactly.
And conduct a comprehensive review of the cocoa sector with a view to introducing structural reforms in organization and management. That will be Cocoa Board as well as the way the purchases are done to aggregators. And consolidate the balance sheet of Cocoa Board. Perfect.
So in a nutshell, Randy Abbey, together with his team, must help us with all those that caused the mess. They must not be sitting in their homes laughing whilst you take their sweat. What? Someone will sweat on it. They have messed you. Now they are going to elect their flag bearer. And that they are changing the narrative for you. Hey, pay them.
As if you are incompetent.
As if you are incompetent.
Liabilities rolling over.
So I keep telling these people, this political business, you must always be on top of the issue. That if you fail to do what is right, it will be used against you. And you will not have any way to defending yourself.
All right. Okay. That point made. We're finished with the cocoa issue, unless maybe you have some substantive issue. Because that too will then take a bite.
Yes.
Because I want us to go to the... is it
I think 1 minute each.
Change of name. Change of name to... is it Accra International Airport? Yeah.
Roland.
Just a minute or
yes,
two.
So Roland, I think the very important intervention by Dr. Randy Abbey. Clearly, he inherited a mess. which he's working hard to address. And I'm happy to hear that despite all the challenges, he and his team are working on a new financing model. That is basic. The cocoa sector, as we inherited and what we have today, everything shows that President Mahama and the NDC government cares more about cocoa farmers than it used to be. But just to rebut the point Dr. Zato made, that under the criminally managed economy, cocoa farmers were paid. Roland, I have been online surfing the internet. There are several reports, and I will show the links to you, where even in 2024, farmers complained of delay in payment in 2024. So it is a blatant falsehood that under the NPP government, there was never a time where farmers complained of delay in payment. Like I said, it is from 2023, 2024 that this whole issue of Ghana's inability to access the syndicated loan started because of how they mismanaged Cocoa Board. So today you cannot tell us that you were paying cocoa farmers. Yes, we have challenges. And look at the humility with which even Dr. Randy Abe accepted that there's a bit of a challenge, despite the fact that it's not all farmers. But he accepted and said he is working on it.
To be truthful, humility doesn't put money in
the
pocket.
Yes, but he inherited a mess, and he's not even shifting blame. They are working assiduously on it. So when you turn around and you are now telling us that when you were in power, you had paid, which all the records here.
What you refer to also, can that include the threat of insolvency of produce buying companies?
Exactly, and there was even a time that cocoa farmers presented a petition, even about the pricing. Today, Ghana's cocoa is the most expensive across. That is why there is no,
and the commodities market hasn't been favorable for the market. But at the end of the day, other
countries, when the international price dropped, other countries have dropped their farm gate prices. But Ghana has still maintained it because we care about the farmers. Roland, the future is bright for cocoa farmers in this country under the leadership of John Dramani Mahama.
You are saying this one is just a brief...
a brief challenge by that some farmers are facing still because of the failure of the NPP government.
What is obvious is that...
Liabilities inherited. Dr. Randy Abe seemed to confirm that by the end of the day, the argument is that the farmers have to be paid.
What is obvious is that farmers, not only cocoa farmers, maize farmers, beef farmers, rice farmers, chicken farmers, are suffering and are wallowing in poverty under this government. That's clear. I've heard the CEO mention, try to blame all these things on the previous government. Meanwhile, the biggest achievement of the current CEO in this thing is to use the scarce resources of Cocoa Board to go and fight his own personal legal battles in court. It's to use his own personal, that has become his biggest source. My point is that if he was on top of his job, what you were talking about, Krabi, if he was on top of his job, he will find ways and means to make sure that cocoa farmers are paid. I don't care about the big English. I don't care about the legendary excuses. I don't care about the revisionist history. What is obvious is farmers have not been paid, and farmers are poor, and farmers are hungry, and farmers need their money now, not a bunch of excuses.
Okay. So I think that subject matter of a legal representation by the legal department of Cocoa Board was not part of that ruling in the dismissal of the case. What they did say was that whoever was representing the CEO should, by way of the legal representation, should have been a private...
Yeah, so that means that the lawyers that went to represent him were Cocoa Board workers. No, we didn't know Cocoa Board workers. We didn't know Cocoa Board workers. My point is, we didn't know Cocoa Board workers. Was the Cocoa Board not paying them? And was it not a personal issue of the CEO?
To discuss Accra name change. But Eden, you don't have... I think you have said your due. So why are you changing the name to... Is it Accra International Airport?
Yes, Accra International Airport. Roland, airports are gateways. If any tourist or anyone traveling into Ghana, the first point of call is our international airport. There are many people who will come and the first question they will ask is, why is it called Kotoka? Why is it called Solomon Owusu Airport?
Randy Abe says that he paid all the filing fees when it come to his legal issue.
Yeah,
I think it's important. It's just.
I think he was only doing cheap politics. How does
he's back from the MPP
legal fees
so by naming airports, by naming airports after individuals, it is a way of honoring people and also cementing certain legacies. it has always been a concern for many people that our international airport is named after a man who committed or who led a coup. And for us as a country, these are memories that as much as possible we would want to forget. And so it is only good that the government has decided that we rename the airport such that if anyone asks you, why is your international airport named Kotoka, you will not refer to him as the one who led a coup to, oust the founding president of this country and all of that. And so I think that this argument has lingered on for several decades. And for the first time, we have a government that is bold enough to take up the initiative. When it is presented to us in Parliament, I will warmly embrace it. There are also many who are of the view that instead of just mentioning Accra, if it is possible to look for some very illustrious sons of the Ga land, the Ga Dangbe land, and even name it after them, that is also proposals. But I support the name change, that it is important for us to honor the dignity of this country by ensuring that whoever we are naming our international airport after signifies national unity, signifies a legacy that we would want to be respected and remembered. And so I support the boldness of this government in taking the initiative to rename the airport. Further, I would also want to again plead and further call for many more national emoluments, to be national monuments to be named after other people.
I don't understand. I thought during the previous MPP administration, you said that
what they were doing. Why
do you also want to embark on a renaming
Roland,
spree?
what they were doing was that they never built any university like the NDC did, and they decided to change the names of universities. I mean, it was that they never even embarked on any significant infrastructure development there, and yet they were just on a naming spree. But I think that we need, as a country, to learn how to honor our heroes, and there are many people that must be remembered. I think that
them a hero, so they also change it.
A hero what? A hero what?
Akentin Apiamenka, hero to the
these are respected people, but the way and manner in which it went, as we speak today, arbitrary, and Parliament has repealed. I mean, you may in the last meeting of Parliament, those names have been reversed back to their originals, and we will leave it at that and respect it. But I support the renaming of our international airport to Accra International Airport. I think it's a bold decision by the government that must be honored. I know it's a concern that even Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's family had expressed over the years, because when they get to the airport and they see Kotoka International Airport, it left a certain, memory of pain that this man who chased our father out of the country and took over through illegal means is the one being honored and had this national monument named after. I think it is important for us to pursue this course of renaming as a way of honoring the right legacies that we want to be remembered for.
Dr. Zato.
Oh, thank you very much.
What do you make of the rename?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that they said there was some called naming spree, and I always say let's give some time. History will be fair and just today, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo government, because he was the one that was told was on this naming spree. But there's something here. There's a theory behind his explanation he gave. Kotoka does not justify to have his name by the airport because he's a coup maker. That is the argument. That you don't name an important monument over or after a coup maker. The founder of the NDC is a serial coup maker. His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings. May he so rest in perfect peace. So, is the NDC now saying that from now onwards, and from now until the future, no government should name any prominent national figure after Jerry John Rawlings? Is that the argument we are making? Because he's a serial coup maker. He overthrew a legitimate, democratically elected government, the Hilal Man government. Yet, he founded the NDC. Made the NDC. Today, he's a member of the studio. Is the NDC telling us that not today, not tomorrow, not 15 years, no government in Ghana should ever reward General Rawlings? Because, and the same man who was a serial coup maker, also bequeathed to us this stable democracy today. He did.
So you've answered yourself.
I'm making a point. He is still a serial coup maker. Are we saying that precisely because of the serial coups he made, we should never honor his memory with any national monument in this country? Thank you.
But you've answered
So,
yourself.
in a sense, what I gather from your argument is that you don't support the renaming.
It's not bold enough to say.
I'm just saying. I'm just
So
saying.
the MPP's position is that they prefer the Kotoka. And you ask yourself, if anybody go to Kotoka and asks, why Kotoka? And the person decides to go and read the history of Kotoka. And the person finds out. Remember, a lot of people come to this country because of the love, the tourists, the love for Kwame Nkrumah. I was surprised to see when you go to the Union Building in Washington, the only prominent African you see with the history is Kwame Nkrumah. So if these people are...
The Union Building.
The Union Building. If Kwame Nkrumah, if a tourist decide to come to this country to come and learn about Kwame Nkrumah, and their first point of call is Kotoka, and decide to read about Kotoka, and what they find out is that Kotoka was the one that overthrew Kwame Nkrumah, and that we are rewarding him, then does it not make nonsense of the Kwame Nkrumah that we have been worshipping in this country? What is the relevance of Kotoka in Ghana's politics? What monumental feat did he achieve, apart from overthrowing Kwame Nkrumah? And if you consider that one as an achievement, a positive one, then you must be coming from a different world. It's long overdue. It has to be scrapped. The name has to be removed. Kotoka has to be removed.
Accra International Airport is defeated.
That's fine, or any other name. Because you see, the first time I entered Joburg, Arrow Tambo Airport, anywhere I go, and Oliver Tambo, I tried to read about the people over there. I realized that he was an anti-apartheid, but he fought so hard. You get to Murtala Muhammad Airport in Nigeria. I mean, someone who fought against the military. In fact, Nnamdi Azikiwe, he was a father of Nigerians' struggle. These are names that reminds the people of a country why they must fight for the liberation of their country. You don't name people after those that came to curtail progress. At the time they were...
Rollins fell to that rank, right?
I am coming there. If you bring Rollins' topic, I'll discuss. I am not a fan of coup makers. I have said the time with that number that coup makers always retard our progress.
Okay.
They are retrogressive.
They are retrogressive. They don't have any plan. If you have a plan, you remove your uniform and then come and contest or form a political party like the United Party,
well,
and then go and serve.
Yes,
so later he had to...
After 11 years.
Yeah, after 11 he had to remove the military uniform and then come and campaign.
So we should never name any ever here in Ghana.
We are discussing, you see...
Coup makers. We are discussing coup makers.
Those that came to twat. I believe that, on the same vein, I would agree with you that anything that was named after Rollins must be removed. You are not far from right.
On that side of the argument.
Yes. Okay. And in the same way, I also disagree. I also agree with the government when they decided to reverse the names that they gave to the university that they named after CK. What is CK contribution to Ghana's development, apart from serving the interests of Nana Akufo-Addo and the NPP?
UP tradition.
What is UP tradition? UP is the party now. We know our tradition. They are NPP. So what tradition is he talking about?
You came out of the MPP, modern
this attempt of trying to smuggle in the least provocations, history will judge Nana Akufo-Addo right. No history in this country will judge me right. Which history will judge the president that came to dig a hole?
That's your leader's boss. That's Alan's boss.
Which history? You tell me.
That's Alan's boss.
The history that you are not comfortable whenever I'm exposing the flaws in your argument.
I think this is the 16th time he's raising.
You understand? A while ago we were discussing about cocoa board. How a group of people were able to go and take money that they were buying a certain quantity or a quantum of cocoa. They decided not to supply 333,767 of it, which amounts to almost $900 million. That money cannot be accounted for. Cocoa board is in distress. The person that led it, Nana Akufo-Addo and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, you say history will judge them right. How is your governor thinking like?
They didn't lead it. They had people they put
who
in positions.
Who appointed them? Who appointed them?
Well, they did.
So bad judgment. The leader himself didn't have that temperament to be choosing the right people to manage the affairs. So no, they don't come in at all. But what I'm saying is that Kotoka must
be removed.
Be removed. And Ghanaians must begin to appreciate our history. There was a time that they named Accra Sports Stadium after Ohinijan. I was saddened in my heart.
Why?
When a group of people said Ohinijan had an Akan name, for which reason the name must be reversed. I couldn't believe it. I said, people do not appreciate their history. If you know the history of Ohinijan and his contribution to Ghana's sports,
Ghana football,
They wouldn't have done that. So it's a lesson. Once we do that, if you appreciate our history, we will begin to acknowledge why certain places must be named after certain individuals who themselves have helped this country and not the other way around.
But Adam, is it not true that you go to countries, sometimes villains and then also heroes have their names for historical purposes and education purposes, named for public places, just to keep reminding people. So irrespective of what the role they played, positively or negatively, sometimes they are named after.
Well, Roland, like I said, the airport, the international airport, is a gateway.
Okay.
And it is the most, it's the welcoming facility into the country. The first name you see is Kotoka. The first name you see when you are either buying your ticket from whichever country is the name of the airport. And you would want to do a research, like Solo said, he did about Tambo and Co. Myself, anytime I travel, the moment you see that the airport is named after an individual or something, you would want to even Google to know the history behind it. And so I support the name change.
Okay.
But back to Rawlings. You see, the NPP spent decades trying to fight the legacy of Rawlings. But Rawlings's contributions to our political history and our democratic development is indelible. And that was confirmed by your own leader, Dr. Bawumia. When we lost President J.J. Rawlings, I read fully the statement issued by Dr. Bawumia, calling him a colossus, calling him a leader who has left indelible mark. And you are claiming that he's the wisest person in your party. So if the wisest person in your party recognizes the contribution of Rawlings, you, the one following him, you don't seem to appreciate. Look, as for Rawlings' conversation, we can spend a full day, and I will tell you that there is nothing the NPP can say about Rawlings today that will change how some of us view Rawlings. But for Rawlings, the very stable Fourth Republic that we have today, for which reason you, myself, all of us can pick forms that we want to be MPs, we want to represent our people. It is because of...
What's your point? That the two names and personalities
no,
are not the same.
he
Rawlings
tried,
and Kotoka
yeah, they are not the same.
Within
they are not the same.
He also argues that he's a coup maker nonetheless.
So the difference is that the two leaders assumed political power initially through a coup d'etat. One of them took the power, unlike his colleagues across the Sub-Saharan Africa region, decided to transform this country and then transition from military rule to civilian rule, subjected himself to fair and democratic elections. And when his tenure was over, decided not to run again. I tell you, in the year 2000, if Rawlings had decided to change the constitution, like his colleagues had done in other countries, to stay on in power, he would have succeeded because of the love that we have for President Rawlings. Look, it is not today that Dr. Zato will try and paint a certain black or dark picture of President Rawlings. President Rawlings, if we decide to name even all the airports in this country after President Rawlings, he deserves even more than that. But you see,
because of the role he played in our
because of the role, I tell you that in our modern democracy, in fact, President Rawlings is the midwife of our Fourth Republic.
Midwife?
Midwife. He nested, he nurtured it. He is the reason why we have democratic elections today. He is the reason why we have the system that we have today. And there is nothing the NPP can do to erase that history.
Do you know what would have happened if he did not overthrow the man?
I have seen. If President Rawlings,
please wrap up for me.
If President Rawlings was full of himself and self-conceited, like the way President Akufo-Addo was, he would have named all of these, very public monuments after himself. Even university that he used his own personal grant money to build, he refused that university being named after him. That tells you the kind of person he is. You, after coming to destroy this country, President Akufo-Addo was building statue for himself around, naming our national
statue.
Oh, he built a statue for himself somewhere. The people went to destroy it, and even he even went naming our universities after people from his political lineage. So let me tell you, in the history of Ghana's politics, the place of President Rawlings, none of your leaders ever comes anywhere close to President Rawlings. And so don't make that mistake of ever trying to talk down on Rawlings and all of that. I tell you, if President Mahama decides today to name the international airport, and if at all the other airports in Ghana after President Rawlings, he deserves even more than that. But when he was alive, such a humble, modest leader, selfless, and decided that, look, don't even name these things after me. Even university, he used his own public money, his own personal money to build, grant money that he got, which is the University of Development Studies, UDS. When they tried naming it after him, he refused. So President Rawlings' place in our history can never be debated, and Dr. Zato should not attempt, you know.
Roland, what I'm saying is that a coup maker is a coup maker. One is actually a serial coup maker. My argument is simple this. If you say Kotoka is a coup maker, so don't name the airport for him. Jerry Rawlings too is a serial coup maker. So I'm saying that you are simply saying that we should not name it. Good. Jerry Rawlings...
Is that the main thrust of the argument?
That's very much. The second argument is to sit here now say that Jerry Rawlings is different. Jerry Rawlings overthrew a democratically elected government. We must not forget that.
Oh, please.
Hilal Laman was a democratically elected government when he overthrew him. He wasn't a dictator. Now, I want you to understand that. There was a man that the good people of Ghana willingly elected to be government. President, you now come and overthrew him. And now you are saying that after overthrowing him and ruling as a dictator for 11 years, now we should thank you for our democracy. What kind of hypocrisy is that?
Do you think?
The point is that, yes.
Do you think that in the position and the premise on which you espouse this narrative, if let's say the argument today was the fact that they wanted to rename the Kotoka International Airport, the J.J. Rawlings International Airport, what would have been your point of the argument?
My point is that there's a central argument. I agree. The reason why...
No, so my question is this way again. I'm saying if the narrative was that rather they are removing Kotoka and they want to name J.J. Rawlings for Kotoka International Airport because of the transition to democratic rule from military, do you think that would have been acceptable to you or others as well who seem to also oppose this as well?
If they remove it and they want to name after Professor Mills, I'll say hallelujah, because then you've seen the collected. If your argument, because then you would have been rewarding, you have been punishing a coup maker for another coup.
My question is in respect of Jerry John Rawlings.
I'm saying that then you wouldn't have, what would have been the change for? It would have just been why would you punish a coup maker and then reward another coup maker? If the central argument, remember, there's a central argument to why they're changing the name. You are changing the name because he was a coup maker. I agree. So if you are changing the name because a coup maker, why? So that means that you're saying that all coup makers are wrong.
Don't put Rawlings and Kotoka.
Had it not been because of Jerry John Rawlings, we would not be talking about the fourth problem. We would not talk about it because the man would have done his term. So to now sit here and now say that, why did he overthrow a democratically elected government?
We are telling that
they are not on the same plane.
So to go and say you overthrow a democratic elected government, and now you're for the name change. The point is that
are you for the name change?
The argument I'm making, my point is that it's essential to know.
Are you for the name change? Yes or no?
He says that.
We just want to know. Our viewers want to know.
No, he says that.
My paramount chief is sending me a text. He wants to know. He wants to know.
Albeit was also a coup maker as well.
No, he wants to know. He wants to know your views. That don't bring Rawlings in. My paramount chief is watching you. He wants to know your position.
Are you for the
name change?
Roland, if we are punishing coup makers, we should make sure that no coup maker in Ghana is ever giving or named after a very prominent place in Ghana. We should come and say that coup makers should have absolutely no place to be named on any prominent show in Ghana.
The Ghanaians are watching. The Ghanaians are watching. They want to know your views.
No.
Yes or no?
You see, you asked me the question that he finally asked me. So you are not transitioning to me.
All right.
That's what I'm asking.
Why is the yes or no?
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Let me try and see. Let me try and see whether I can put the icing on the cake. Gentlemen. Let me see whether I can put the icing on the cake for about 3 minutes. Kweku Dankwa is a historian, the Institute of African Studies. That's where he's schooled and also associates with. He also helps us undertake a lot of these historical discussions very often, and particularly when Ghana Month right here on TV3 will be again launched on TV3 New Day as well as other relevant programming. I think it's also incisive that we're even discussing. Kweku Dankwa, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yeah, yeah. So historically, we're just having an argument about Rawlings and then Kotoka, or if there was a name to Rawlings being the change, it would have perhaps elicited less arguments than today, etc. But the name change historically, what does it mean? I mean, Kotoka having his name on our international airport.
Okay. So there are certain ingredients when you want to name monuments you need to actually look at first. And these questions are very critical before you do so. And most often, leaders have really rushed and start naming things, and it is not only in Ghana. You've seen it all over the world where places have been named or monuments have been named and they have been name changed. So, for instance, when you want to name a place, the first thing you have to look at is, what does the name mean? Can a name promote pride? Can the name create hurtful memories? Does the naming honor a person? Does the naming actually reflect history? And what do we do to reconcile historical events and the modern, particularly within the modern sensibilities? And what are the alternatives to sort of even renaming a place? So this is the first things you do. But then you look at the idea of what you want to convey to the people so that monument will have an enduring legacy. So first thing is about preserving national history and identity. The monument ought to create a commemorative landscape that binds citizens together through a shared history and patriotic heroes. If you have a place that has a shared history and binds people will often move from their houses to go and look at the place. And if you look at Kotoka's presence within the airport, no Ghanaian ever moved from any place. So even the idea of cultural and economic significance is missing from Kotoka's statue. Nobody takes a car or move from anywhere that is going to airport just to look at the man Kotoka and the statue. So there is no touristic value. The nation doesn't gain anything from it. In fact, if African Americans and many visitors come to the country and they are passing there and they ask you a question, what is this man standing there? You say, oh, this is the man who overthrew the First Republic. Everybody don't want to hear it at all. So it shows you that the idea of preserving national history and identity is amiss. Again, as a value for education, by memorizing specific figures and leaders aim to express the ideas that we want future generations to believe, such as freedom, sacrifice, and duty. You don't see it with Kotoka's ideas. Kotoka represents a regime change of which they have argued with specific references to leaders that overthrow constitutionally elected bodies, irrespective of how we feel about them. Then there's also the idea of asserting political power. So historically, monuments are used to assert fundamental human right identity and reinforce authority of specific political establishment. So in Ghana, we see that thing happening. That when you make issue of Kotoka and the name change, you will see a specific political tradition will come out and say, no, this is what he did. He overthrew a government which has turned Ghana into one-party state, and without it, we couldn't have a second republic and so on. So you see that the idea that the person is coming from is polarizing. The fact that it is polarizing and one part is supported and the other part is supported, it means that leader cannot have a stake to stand where it is. And then there's the idea of legitimization of legacy. So people put monuments to showcase and perpetuate the leader's specific impact on the nation's story. So Kotoka has been put there. And for the premise that put there, if you look at the 1969 General Kotoka trusteeship decree, it is all about showing the legitimacy that this is what this man did. He overthrew a constitutionally elected government. Then again, the statute must also foster community pride. How does the Ghanaian community see Kotoka as a symbol of unity, symbol of resilience in a modern-day Ghanaian psyche? You don't have that with Kotoka. Then, lastly, a leader or a monument of a leader must inspire future generations. How does Kotoka inspire current generation of Ghanaians about the idea of fundamental human rights, the idea of constitutionalism. When today in the modern Ghanaian cycle, nobody wants to hear anything about a coup makeover to fight for what we all love now, which is the constitutional democracy. So all these things must happen within the contestation of inclusivity and ideas to redress, and also reflecting on our modern values, whether our values today is in sync with what Kutuka stands for. If it is not there, then you will have a renaming. And I think it is right around this time that this had its name. When it was completed in 1958, it was named Accra International Airport. Until the coup, when in 1969, Kutuka Transition Decree came to change the name from Accra International Airport to Kutuka International Airport. And why do we change? As I have explained, recently in Oxford University College, where Ansuti studied, they have moved a portrait from there because of a role in the Rohingya crisis.
All right.
Okay? You have the Confederate Army.
Kwaku Dankwa, thank you so much for the contribution this morning. And it's a historian. Thank you so much. But, gentlemen, thank you for passing through the studios and welcome back from Sisalais after the MPP primaries. Have you gone to visit Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia already? I've seen the minority and among them.
After the rigged process.
Please.
You have rigged the process.
Have you been there? My regards to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. You have to take me to him one of these.
56.4%
And Adam as well.
in an internal election.
He will get 15%.
No, that's the lowest. 56.4%. I mean, to have that low approval rate within
I like the way Bawumia is living rent-free in the house and minds.
In their minds.
In the house and minds. He's living rent-free.
He's sending shivers down their
He's shivers down their spine. He's living rent-free.
I want Africa Policy to interrogate the
when
figures.
your figures come, when I say Ketia wins your primary, we will interrogate the
A
figures.
former leader of the party. Don't forget, this is not a
Your
new
figures
leader.
will come, we interrogate them.
56.4%.
When your figures come,
This is
when your
even a
figures
rigged
come,
process.
when your figures come, we will interrogate them.
Even when it was
We will
rigged,
interrogate your
This election
figures.
was Saturday.
Roland.
We've been discussing
We will interrogate
It's
them.
okay.
56.4%.
He's not
It shows the
We will
low
interrogate
confidence.
your figures when they
It
come.
shows the low confidence.
You, your
in the
party,
leader.
you're not even going to have a contest.
Let
You're
me-
just going to
Let
beat
me-
someone.
let me say-
Our
contest will be
A
key.
former leader. Who will
It's
contest
okay.
Alan?
Oh no, it's a serious issue.
okay.
Former leader,
It's okay, it's okay.
56.4%.
I'll take a
It's
former
It tells you
contest
that,
Alan.
Roland, it
Let me
tells
say
you
good
that
morning to
over
Reverend
40%
Father Ankra as well as Reverend Father Dr. Jacob Jagri. And
rejected Dr. Bawumia again.
Pope Yevu is not there.
Pope and Cody,
I will take the form.
I'm telling you
I will
that.
take the form and
Now,
I will
if you
contest
want-
Alan Chiramese
Bawumia
and
lost
If you want
miserably in Ketunov.
If you want, but
Bawumia lost miserably in Ketunov again. It's an indication that my people in Ketunov do not have any confidence in
if you want to look
Bawumia.
smart, if you want to look smart and fashionable, please walk into any Woodin boutique nationwide because they offer amazing collection of authentic African fabrics. And you'll find that Solo is wearing one today, Solo in Woodin. And so please make sure that you look colorful,
Woodin, give me one.
whether you're a man or a woman, like the way Solo is looking very
beautiful
beautiful this morning, because Woodin can make you get creative and versatile as well with your design. So get to be confident, show off how truly African you are in Woodin. Go to a Woodin boutique near you today and get to choose from their variety of trendy products to complement your unique style. Look out for them when it comes to social media. Just go search for Woodin Fashion. And I have this one from Kakri Samoa who says Kwame Nkrumah himself changed his own name from Francis Kofi Nyiwa Ngoloma to what we know today when he thought it necessary. Someone called Cassius Clay changed his name to Muhammad Ali and we all celebrate him. Didn't President J. Kufuor change Sankara to Akwa J? Majority Leader Muhammad Yariga gave a reason for the change, and I think that it is a good thing to also honor the owners of the land. Accra has done a lot for Ghana, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with honoring them. Lawyer Kakri Samoa, I think I love this message as well. And we also have to tell you that love certainly deserves more than a day. It deserves an unforgettable escape, an escapade. This Valentine's experience is with you. The 3 Extra Vows Day Escape, an exclusive retreat from February 13th to 15th at the luxurious Chill River Resorts in Kata join PMX stars Bogdan as well as Naya as they bring their magnificent and magnetic chemistry to the serene riverside haven of refined luxury and intimate moments. Limited slots already available. So make sure you do the bookings now at mgtix.africa or call 054 788 6258. This Valentine, choose the extra Val's Day Escape. And that's how you also get to enjoy yourself. Let me say good morning to Pai Fianku, your bereaved. This week we'll be there to mourn with you. Pai Fianku, whose husband is called David, is the finance boss for engineers and planners, as well as the chief driver for Baba, who got honored by UMAT. Nuruddin, I wish you all the best, Nuruddin. And then also congratulations, Dr. Ibrahim Muhammad as well. We're taking a break, we'll be right back.